Hello, everyone, and welcome to the SJD Show, where I talk about anything and everything I find interesting, usually from my trifecta of Doctor Who, Eurovision, and Formula One. Today's show, I'll be discussing how I would revise Eurovision's so called Big Five. But first, the news. So we'll start with Formula One news as always. So over the weekend, we had the Bahrain Grand Prix with Formula 2 and Formula 3 support races. The Formula 3 didn't make any impact on me at all, actually. It's nice to have a Brit at the top of the championship with Luke Browning in the high tech. Looks like it's going to be quite a close championship this year. There's nobody that I'm particularly behind or following or anything. I mean, Montoya would certainly be one that I would be interested in, but it seems like he is somehow worse than last year. So I don't think he's going to be making too much of a thing. Anyway, the big thing for me this weekend, again, outside of Formula One. So I mean, Formula One, practice made it look like everything might be quite close. Qualifying, Charles could have been fastest. So the Red Bulls in one lap pace aren't out and out the best. Uh, but in the race, it was rinse and repeat from last year, really. Um, so it wasn't really interesting, to be fair. I know. I mean, it was nice to see how close the grid was in qualifying, and nice to see how close they all are behind Max. But again, the for an opening for the opening race of the season, I don't know. I was just kind of praying it wouldn't just be Max running away with it. Hopefully next weekend will be better in Saudi Arabia. I vaguely remember last year's race being pretty good there, so fingers crossed. Also, with qualifying, there is something that I started doing a while ago. I think it was the 2022 season when I first started it, because I was intrigued to see, well, the best way to track who's the fastest over one lap would be to have a qualifying championship um using whatever points were available at the time, so to speak. So, for example, 2010 onwards would use the current point system, 25 for pole position down to 1 point for 10th place. And then before that, whatever point system is used, say 10 for a pole down to 1 point for sixth place. So with that, on qualifying, obviously you've still got Max at the top because he got pole position. Then you've got Leclerc, Russell, Sainz, Perez, Alonso, Norris, Piastri, Hamilton, Hülkenberg, and then the rest, Sonoda, Stroll, Albon, Ricciardo, Madison, Bottas, Guan Yu, Sargent, Ocon, Gasly. The interesting thing for me is with the constructors then. So, as it stands at the moment, Red Bull with 35 points at the top, Ferrari not far behind with 30. So, if that trend continues, hopefully we're going to see qualifying at least that the Ferrari has the one lap pace to challenge the Red Bull. And like what a lot of them are saying over the weekend, if they can get in front of Max and stay in front of Max, then the races might be a fair bit better. It's then a bit of a distance to third, Mercedes at 17, fourth, McLaren with 10, fifth, Aston Martin with 8, and sixth, Haas with 1 point due to Hulkenberg's 10th place. Seventh down to 10th. So we've got the RB Honda, which is seventh place with their highest finish of 11th, thanks to Sonoda. And eighth, you've got Williams with the highest finish of 13th, thanks to Albon. And ninth, we have Kick Sauber with the highest finish of 16th due to Bottas. And in last place, in both the actual constructor standings and in the qualifying standing, we have Alpine, who have somehow managed to fall to last place. Uh, I, I just don't. Oh dear, oh dear. I don't think it'll be long before we see Alpine leave Formula One. Um, and probably Renault in its entirety. Renault have had a shocking time since 2014. Um, I mean, if they think they can build a powertrain for 2026 that'll be competitive, they'll probably stick around. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Renault drop off the grid completely for 2026. Um, yeah. Anyway, a shame. So that's that. It's not quite as interesting after race one, but I mean, as is most of Formula One, really, it's not that interesting after race one. But once we get to a fair bit later on down the line, a few races in, and you start to see, well, who is, like, for example, the biggest one for me is 2022, for example. Obviously, Verstappen won the championship by a fair margin, but in 2022, Charles Leclerc on qualifying alone beat Max Verstappen by 3 points, and Ferrari won the qualifying championship with 666 points to Red Bull 627. So I mean, I find it interesting. There's another alternate point system that I use, but I won't cover that today. I'll probably cover that in a few weeks' time. Um, but yeah, so that's the kind of qualifying championship which I've got going on. I might next week go over how the qualifying championship looks from 1950 upwards. There's a lot of um, really interesting changes for championships. A lot of changes in championships. Jim Clark, Ayrton Senna, and Hamilton really stick out as well. Actually, and Fangio. So Fangio, Clark, Senna, Hamilton stand out as, well, they are the fastest drivers of their generation, and there's not really any doubt about that. Also, Hamilton has 3 championships with McLaren rather than the one, which arguably he probably should have had 3 championships with that McLaren. Anyway, right, Formula 2 was way more interesting, way more interesting. So in the qualifying, I think it was Kushmini that in the best lap, and he got it removed for something, which I can't think. It was like the underfloor was 2 centimeters or 2 millimeters too short or scraped, or I don't know, something. So he went to the back for both the sprint race and the feature race. In the sprint race, out came Barbados' Zane Maloney, out the arse end of absolutely nowhere, and won the sprint race by about 4 or 5 seconds. And then he took the lead in the feature race and never really gave it up. He was just sensational, like absolutely sensational, and leads the championship with 36 points to Pepe Marti's 24. And I like no one. I was blown away by how good he, like, some of the moves he was putting in as well were they were so brave. Like, there was some real brilliant overtaking. And obviously, Zane Maloney in 2022 came second to Victor Martins in the Formula 3 Championship, by only 5 points, actually, so he wasn't exactly that far off. Um, and last year, he wasn't really in, I think he finished in the top 10. He wasn't really there or there. He was there or thereabouts. But I mean, if he can continue that form, he'll be certainly for me anyway, he'd be the big surprise of the season. Because I think Pepe Marti was kind of tipped to be potentially the real front runner along with Bortoleto, because anybody who won the Formula 3 season typically, you know, is favourite to win the Formula 2 season the year after, despite that only really happening 2 or 3 times. Oscar Piastri was one of them. George Russell was another. George Russell? Charles Leclerc, sorry. Charles Leclerc was another one who did that. Again, I think. Yes. Anyway, that's the Formula One news. So now we'll move on to Eurovision. Now, obviously, the main podcast is on Eurovision today, so I won't spend too much time here. We've had the UK, Austrian, Serbian, and Icelandic entries all released, and the Dutch entry as well, actually. The Dutch entry seems to be getting a lot of love. I don't really understand why. The dude looks like Jimmy Savile, and it's not a good song. I don't know. I don't understand why the Dutch entry's getting any love whatsoever. But hey, I might that opinion might change in a couple of weeks' time when I sit down to actually go through them all in a lot more detail. The Icelandic entry, like I said last week, they were potentially going to send a Palestinian singer. As such, they were fourth in the betting odds. They didn't send the Palestinian singer, and they plummeted to like 20th. As unfortunate proof that, potential winners are very political rather than about the song. The song that Iceland are sending is rubbish. Hera Bjork did much better in 2010, which is looking great. Austria's entry is called "We Will Rave." It's a thumper. It's nice to have a proper rave song in Eurovision. Whether it'll translate well live, we'll see. And then obviously the UK's entry, unveiled on the 1st of March. Ollie Alexander with Dizzy. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan. I like it. I like it a lot. The problem I have is whenever I've liked our entry, it's always done really badly. And whenever I'm not that fussed on the entry to begin with, and then it grows on me, is when it tends to do well. Jade Ewan's It's My Time grew on me. Sam Ryder's Spaceman grew on me. Um, I loved Wrote a Song last year. It was shocking live. I loved Embers, and that was also. I mean, that wasn't. I wasn't no Paul worthy live, but it's fine. Um, and I know Ollie can sing. On a good day, he's got a really good voice. He's talked about how he wants to make it a very memorable performance. So I don't know. I have hopes for left hand side of the board, but we'll see. I don't think. I think top 10 might just be out of reach. But do you know what? It's one of those that so much of it depends on what will happen in 2 months' time on the night, the running order, how they perform for the juries, how they perform for the public. So much is up in the air. So I mean, it could be anything. Now, uh, it looks like we've slipped to 12th in the betting odds. What a shame. We were doing so well. Iceland somehow still ahead of us. That won't stay. France is making a little bit of a climb, I think, after their performance in Croatia. Croatia themselves are favourite to win still, thankfully. They are now across the board favourite to win on pretty much every betting site. Ukraine annoyingly still second. Italy a little bit of a distant third, and Belgium's in there as well. Not too sure why. I don't really think Belgium's in. Belgium and Switzerland seem to be getting a lot of love, and I don't really understand that. Israel has annoyingly moved up to seventh because the gift that keeps on giving Israel this year. KTN, the public broadcaster, stated a few weeks ago they will not change the lyrics. If they're asked to change the lyrics, they'll withdraw from Eurovision. They've been asked to change the lyrics, so they're changing the lyrics. I bet this song will come out and it'll be shit. I bet this song is shit. Not really any Doctor Who news, but I listened to the Big Finish audiobooks. Generally, when I'm going to sleep, I put an earbud in, have it on nice and low, and I'm usually asleep within about 5 to 10 minutes. That's not a testament to the quality of them. It's just they're really good background for me. Um, but last night, two stories really piqued my interest to a point where I struggled to sleep actually because the stories were so good. So it's called Circular Time. Spring I fell asleep to. Summer I have no idea, but autumn and winter. So the autumn section, it's seeing the Doctor and Nissa. Uh, from what I could glean anyway, like the Doctor is just wants to go and play some cricket. So he goes and plays some cricket, and Nissa has a little wander around and experiences sexual attraction for the first time, and has her first kiss, and just kind of sees what it's like not being. I think she's meant to be 15 when she joins the TARDIS, and just seeing what it's, that kind of transition from girl to woman. Uh, which is really nice. It gives Sarah Sutton a lot to do that she never really got to do with the character in the show. It was a really nice kind of exploration, and then to see the Doctor's reaction as well, because in the classic series he's treated as very asexual, and in the modern series he's treated as very pansexual. But wildly different approaches to the Doctor's sexuality. Hey, maybe after the Time War he decided, you know what, sex is good, and fair play. Um, Yeah. So it's interesting to see the Doctor's reaction because he kind of gets a bit jealous and a bit uppity and a bit like, oh well, if that's what you want, then okay, that's fine. You stay here and I'll leave. And it's just weird. It's weird to kind of hear the Fifth Doctor be a bit like that, and Nissa quite right calls him out on it, and it's like, what are you on about? Like I'm just to put it delicately, I'm just going for a quick shag. Like, calm yourself, Doctor. Anyway, the next part was just fascinating. So it opens with we're a few years after Nissa has left the TARDIS. She left on Terminus to help rebuild the colony, and she has this dream where the Doctor is like retired almost and has children and a wife, and she's like, well, that was just so bizarre. Her husband has developed a machine um in which you can bring your, you can recall your dreams to a degree, and you can basically look at your dreams a bit more. So because obviously dreams will still be sitting in your subconscious, like when you wake up and you try and remember a dream, sometimes you struggle. Sometimes you really struggle. And so Nissa's husband has developed a machine where actually, well, let's go have a look then, which I think is a stunning, stunning idea in itself. Um, but yeah, so she does so, and she sees the Doctor, and she's like, "Hello, Doctor." And the Doctor's like, "Who the hell are you? What you do? Like, why are you talk? Why do you speak to me like you know who I am in my dream?" And Nissa's like, "Well, it's not your dream; it's my dream." And the Doctor says, "Well, not really, because I've got these two kids called Adric and Tegan, or Turlo and Tegan, or something." And Nissa says, "Well, that's odd because that's that those are your companions." And he says, "Oh, well, I mean, I've got a wife as well called Perry, and it's this wonderful like 10 minutes of what the hell is going on." We then hear the Masters laugh, and we find out that the Doctor is regenerating. We are with the Doctor in his 10 seconds where he is regenerating on Androzani Minor, Major, Minor, yeah, Minor. Um, and it's wonderful that like they touch on this idea that the Doctor has like psychic links to his companions, and the Master who has used Chameleon and his psychic link with Chameleon to like try and kill the Doctor rather than him regenerate. And that's what the Doctor is like. Is this death? It feels different this time. Um, and all his companions swirl around him, and someone's went, "Oh, I'll make an episode out of that. I can do an audio thing of explaining that." And it's just like when the Doctor is in that part of his part of his regeneration, he's reaching out to all of his companions just to either say goodbye or help me, or whatever it is. He's just reaching out, um, which is why they're all swirling around his head, and he sees them all, and the Master's like, "No, die, die, Doctor," but his companions help him through. They help him to he can see in a white light the next Doctor. He can see the sixth Doctor there, and he goes towards him, and he becomes the sixth Doctor in this wonderful, wonderful scene. Um, which I must admit lends a lot of credence to the Guardians of the Edge idea that Chibnall uses in Power of the Doctor. But I think this does it a lot better than Chibnall does it in Power of the Doctor. But it's just this fascinating insight to what happens in the Doctor's brain when they're regenerating. Um, yeah, it's really really fascinating, and it's done so much better. If you can, I would highly recommend you. So I have the Big Finish app. So anything that I buy in the Big Finish store, just goes straight to my app. If you love classic Doctor Who, but you've never really touched the audio adventures, Circular Time is a brilliant, uh, I'd say, place to start. But the thing is, Sirens of Time, which is the very very first one, is the best place to start because it's got 5, 6, and 7. Also, Storm of Orion, the Eighth Doctor's first audio adventure, is amazing. I Davros is phenomenal. I Davros was my first foray into Big Finish because I got the Davros box set in 2008, um, and that had all of Davros's. So I had Terra Firma on it, I had the Juggernauts, but I Davros is again, if you love classic Doctor Who, or even if you love new Doctor Who, and you want a real like build up to how Davros became Davros, like starting from when he was a kid to now. And I don't mean, he's a kid and then the Doctor turns up and gives him a screwdriver and he gets out of these weird hand mine things, and sometimes he's in the wheelchair or sometimes he's not, and none of that nonsense. Like classic Doctor Who continuity. How does Davros go from a young boy to effectively Dalek Hitler? How does that happen? And it's so good. Oh, like the 10th Doctor adventures are amazing. So if you like new Who, there is now, since 2016, Big Finish have had the license, 2015 maybe, the end of 2015, Big Finish have had the license to use characters from the 2005 series onwards, and David Tennant has reprised his role several times as the 10th Doctor. I've listened to the first season with Catherine Tate, which is amazing. There's the 10th Doctor and River Song as well, which is three brilliant episodes. I think one of them starts with them, they're in a bath, and the Doctor's like, "Oh, hold on, I've got this thing I need to go and do." Or I can't remember, it's been a while since I've listened to them. But yeah, there's great stuff. There's also a Fifth Doctor story called Spare Parts, uh, which World Enough in Time you could say is loosely based on, where they end up on Mondas before the Cybermen become Cybermen. So they arrive on Mondas, and it's 4 episodes of, you know, our cybernetic scientist is our race is getting weak, and there's a 2 hour episode of basically on that line of, well, who was the scientist, what was happening to the human race on Mondas that meant that they needed to be, converted to Cybermen, basically. World Enough in Time is a brilliant version of it. When you see them being converted on the Mendacians on the ship. Oh, it's so good. Yeah, there's a lot of amazing stuff in in the Big Finish audio dramas. They are well worth a listen. So that brings to an end the news. So we will move on now to the main podcast, which is how I would revise Eurovision's Big Five. At the moment, the Big Five is comprised of the United Kingdom, Germany, France, Italy, and Spain, as they are the greatest financial contributors to the contest. So no matter where the contest is held, those 5 countries, because they put in a lot of money to help run the contest, they get a pass to the final. They get to buy their way into the final to help make sure the contest can go ahead. But, maybe they stop doing that and we have some lower budget Eurovisions, and that's okay too. So I've been pretty much since I started following Eurovision and loving Eurovision, I've been against the idea of the Big Five. I think it's ridiculous. I've never liked it. Um, from 1997 to like 2001, 2002, late 90s, very, very early 2000s. There was there was a system in place because there were so many countries that wanted to enter Europe. Because at that point, Yugoslavia um, split up into 6 or 7 different countries, and kind of the entirety of Eastern Europe was like, the USSR disbanded as well. Like the entirety of Eastern Europe went, "Hey, we want to be part of Eurovision. Can we come in?" But that meant that the potential entries went from about 22 to 42, roughly. So the EBU came up with a system of, if over the past 5 years you got the most points, so the top 17 countries in the last 5 years would get a pass to the final. Like would get because this was before they had semi-finals. There was just one show. It was just the final. So if you were in the top 17 point scorers of the last 5 years, so they'd accused, so like 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, across those 5 years, as long as you were in the top 17, you were in the final for 1997. If you weren't, you were disqualified from that year's event. You could not participate that year, and they would let in some other people. That was their solution. In 2004, they introduced a semi final. So, again, I think at that point they went from 5 years to 4 years. So, as long as you were in the top 10 of the last 4 years, or was it just the top 10 for the previous year's surely it wasn't the previous year's contest. That seems daft. I'm just going to go double check that. The 10. Oh, wow. Yeah, no. Okay. So the 10 highest place finishers in 2003, plus at that point, it was the big four because Italy weren't in Eurovision at that time. So that meant there were always 14 countries getting into the final. and then the final 10 places would be fought out amongst the rest. So in 2007, the semi-final was longer than the final. It was like 28 songs, only 10 of them got to the final. It was just ridiculous, which is why they introduced a second semi-final. And quite right, because it's ridiculous. Anyway, so I love that idea of, well, what if you were, what if you took the past 5 years' points, added them all together, and that was your, and then you had like a ranking of how every country has done the past 5 years, and you keep it rolling. So, for example, for the 2024 contest, you would add up 23, 22, 21, 2019, and 2018. You'd add those 5 points up together, and you would have a list of one country would obviously have accrued the most points over those 5 years, and a country would have had the least. My proposed revision to the Big Five is that the countries with the most points over the last 5 years that are in the top five are the Big Five. Now, I'm going to take 2024 as the example. Over the last 5 years, Italy have scored 1,922 points. Sweden has scored 1,736, Ukraine have scored 1,368, Norway have scored 1,097, and Israel have scored 1,031. So for 2024, those would be the Big Five. So Italy, Sweden, Ukraine, Norway, and Israel would all automatically get to the final, along with last year's winner. Well, I mean, Sweden was last year's winner, so makes sense? So the top five are Italy, Sweden, Ukraine, Norway, and Israel for the past 5 years. So Italy, Sweden, Ukraine, Norway, and Israel would be the five countries that would automatically go to the final. Every other country, including the United Kingdom, France, Germany, and Spain, would all go through the semi-final. So my proposed revision to the Big Five is the five countries that have scored the most over the past 5 years plus last year's winner. Lovely. Over the years, how would that have changed things? Would countries that didn't qualify one year have got straight to the final? Let's have a little look. Now, this is something that these are documents I put together about 4 or 5 years ago, when I first kind of had this plan and this idea. So the first, it's also quite interesting to see what I've got in front of me are Eurovision 1956 all the way down to Eurovision 2024. I have two things. So Eurovision 1956, I have Switzerland in brackets 1, Switzerland in brackets 1. That is because Switzerland won 1956, and Switzerland had scored the most points come 1956. 1957, the Netherlands won, and the Netherlands has scored the most points. In 1958, France won, and France scored the most points. So 1959 is when we have our first divergence, as although the Netherlands won, they over those four contests, three contests really, because 56 voting was never revealed. Over those three contests, France scored 59 points, Netherlands scored 53. So France would remain as the top. 1960, France won again. France remains at the top. 1961, Luxembourg gets their first victory. France remains at the top with 104 points over 5 years. Okay? Now, the top three come 1961. So this is adding together the points of 61, 60, 59, 58, and 57. France are at the top with 104 points. The United Kingdom are in second with 71 points. And Switzerland are third with 64. The main thing is, for the fourth year in a row, France had scored the most points. In 1962, France won for the third time and remain at the top. And in 1963, Denmark get their first win. France remains at the top. And in 1964, Italy get their first win. France remains at the top. From 1958 to 1964, France was the best country at Eurovision. 1964, their point tally was 110. Italy is in second with 106. Third is the UK with 104. So it's very, very close in those top three. In 1965, Luxembourg get their second win, and Italy overtake France for the first time to be top of the 5-year rolling. 1966, Austria get a victory, and Italy remain at the top. In 1967, the United Kingdom get their first win, and they are now at the top of the 5-year rolling. So from 67, 66, 65, 64, and 63, the United Kingdom scored more points than anybody else. The United Kingdom would then hold that position. The United Kingdom remain the highest scoring country over 5 years until 1978. For 12 years straight, the United Kingdom were at the top. In that, they record 3 wins. Spain get a couple of wins. The Netherlands get a couple of wins. France get a couple of wins. Ireland gets a win. Monaco gets a win. Luxembourg does a double, 72 and 73. And Israel get a win as well. Fascinating, isn't it? I love this stuff. I love looking at, United Kingdom 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what's mad about this as well is because we came second so many times, uh, it's also during that run that the point system changed from it would vary a lot, but generally it was every country had 10 jurors who would award a point to their favorite song. And the 1975 is when it became the system that we know now of 12 points to your winner, 1 point to your 10th place. So in 1976, after the United Kingdom's third win, the gap is huge. Like the United Kingdom have 553 points over 5 years. The Netherlands, which is in second place, have 398, and Luxembourg in third place have 372. Like United Kingdom are miles ahead, absolutely miles ahead, and like I say, they keep that lead for a long, long time. 1978, which is their last year on top. So effectively, in the 60s, you wanted to be France, and in the 70s, you wanted to be the United Kingdom or France again, as you'll find out in a sec. So United Kingdom dropped to 498 points, second place France 471. So France really kind of started to sneak up on the United Kingdom in those intervening years. It helps that they won in 1977. And in 1979, France takes over for 2 years. So for the 8th and 9th year, France are at the top, and that is covering Israel's second win and Ireland's second win as well. In 1980, France has 531 points across 5 years. The United Kingdom has 525. Ireland has 482. So they're really not that far behind, like at all. We then, in 1981, with another UK victory, but Ireland surges to the top for the first time with 533 points over the 5 years. In 1982, with Germany's first win, they go straight to the top and they remain at the top for 4 years, from 82 to 85, covering Luxembourg's fifth and to date final win, Sweden's second win, and Norway's first. In 1986, and this surprised me a lot, 1986, Sweden are at the top. So from 86, 85, 84, 83, so from 82 to 86, Sweden scored more points than anyone else. Not by much, only by about 50, 60 points, but that's still impressive. And that's Belgium's first win. Only win, I think. And then in 1987, Sweden retain it. In 1988, Ireland take it back for a year. In 1989, the United Kingdom gets it back for a year. In 1990, Ireland gets it for 2 years. And then in 1992, the United Kingdom gets it back for 2 years. And then in 1994 to 1998, Ireland are firmly at the top. So from 1988 to 2000, Ireland and the United Kingdom had a monopoly on the top. Now, since we are now getting to the point of countries not being allowed in, of not be allowed in, but like a rolling five sort of thing. We're going to take we'll start from the last time Ireland were at the top, which was 1998 for their 9th year at the top, with 653 points. So the top five 1998 were Ireland, the UK, Malta, Norway, Croatia. So those are the five countries that, under my proposed system, would have automatically got to 1999. I'm actually going to jump forward a little bit now. So let's say the last time the United Kingdom were at the top was in 2000. Amazing that we stayed up there for that long, frankly. Was that 2000, 99, 98, 97, and 96? So in 2001, we lose our 96 result. And then 2002, we lose our win, and then we drop out the top five for, I think, forever. We haven't gone back up there yet. But yeah, so UK sat at the top in 2000. In 2001, rather gloriously, Estonia get their first win, and Estonia go straight to the top, which is quite nice. 504 points to the UK's 489. Estonia stay there for a year. Then Sweden take it back again for 2003 and 2004. Greece then win and go straight to the top for 4 years, from 2005 to 2008. Now, first semi final was in 2004. The top five in 2003 were Sweden, Estonia, Denmark, Russia, and Germany. Those are the five countries that should have gone straight to the final. Not the UK, Spain, France, blah, 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 blah. Those are the five that should have gone straight to the final. In 2004, that changes to Sweden, Russia, Turkey, Greece, and Estonia. Turkey obviously being the host country there. So those would be the five that got straight to the final. 2005, held in Ukraine, Greece, Turkey, Sweden, Malta, Serbia, and Montenegro. For the 2007 contest, so held in Finland, we'd have Greece, Russia, Turkey, Sweden, and Romania getting automatically qualifying. And for our first, with two semi-finals. So this is where the big four, big five, are fully there, and this is where it now makes a big difference to what does and doesn't qualify. So, under my proposed change for the big five, then, in 2008, Greece's Kalomira with secret combination would have automatically qualified. Russia's Dima Balan with Believe would have automatically qualified. Ukraine's Annie Lorak with Shady Lady would have automatically qualified. Turkey's Morvi Otisi with Delhi would have automatically qualified. And Bosnia and Herzegovina's Laka with Pokusaj would have automatically qualified. They all qualified anyway, which is good. But they would have been the automatic qualifiers rather than the big four. The 2009 contest, Greece still at the top. Ukraine second, Russia third, Turkey fourth, Bosnia and Herz fifth. Pretty much the same as last time in terms of who's there. So Greece's Saki Rubas with This Is Our Night would have automatically qualified. Ukraine's Svetlana Labora with Be My Valentine would have automatically qualified. Russia obviously won, so their song would have got through anyway. Turkey's Hadise with Doom Tek Tek would have automatically qualified, and Bosnia and Herzegovina's Regina with Bistra Voda would have automatically qualified. Again, would it have been any major difference there? They all got through, which is good. But again, just quite interesting. So for 2010, the 2010 contest, the top five were Russia, Greece, Norway, Ukraine, and Turkey. Norway kind of overtaken Bosnia and Herzegovina there. But again, Norway won, so they would have got through anyway. So our five automatic qualifiers then would have been Russia's Peter Nalic and Friends with Lost and Forgotten, which qualified anyway. Greece's Georgios Akaros and Friends, that's a lot of friends, with Opa, which got through anyway. Norway's My Heart Is Yours would have obviously got through anyway because they were the host country. Ukraine's Alyosha with Sweet People would have automatically qualified, and Turkey's Manga, We Could Be the Same, which ended up coming second, would have automatically qualified as well. All of them, again, got through to the final, so, happy days. The thing is, I don't expect any of the top five to not make it to the final, because all of these guys had to qualify anyway, and still have found themselves in the top five positions over 5 years. It's a testament to how bad the big five actually are, that they're nowhere near here. Like, they're nowhere near here. And 2010. So after the 2010 contest, Russia remains at the top. We have Ukraine in second, Greece in third, Turkey in fourth, and Armenia replaced Norway in the top five. So for the 2011 contest, then, because Germany won, Germany obviously goes straight through. So this would be the first year where we have 6 automatic qualifiers, which means this would be a 26 strong Eurovision. So Russia's Alexei Vorobyov with Get You would have automatically qualified. It got through anyway. Ukraine's Mika Newton with Angel would have qualified. Would have gone straight to the final, but it qualified anyway. Greece's Lucas Yorkas featuring Stereo Mike with Watch My Dance would have automatically qualified. It won its semi-final. Turkey's Yüksek Sarakat with Live It Up and Armenia's Emmy with Boom Boom would have both automatically qualified. Neither of them made it to the final. So 2011's final would have looked different. It would have looked very different. Would have looked very different because Armenia and Turkey would have already been there. So yeah, I think what I might do at some point when I get round to actually watching these contests again, I might apply I might put a what if scenario of, well, what if Turkey and Armenia had automatically qualified, and what if we replace Russia, Ukraine, Greece, Turkey, and Armenia with, the United Kingdom, Italy, France, so on and so forth, and kind of randomly slot them into where they would have been in the semi-final and see if, and just see in the running order whether they would have qualified. Because for 2011, I mean, I reckon that's, we would have qualified. I think the UK would have qualified with blue. Italy definitely would have qualified because that song is sensational. France's might have got through. I can't remember Spain's in 2011. What was Spain's? Lucia Perez with Kema Cretan Tabailo. I don't know it. Yeah, so I mean that might not have qualified. Hey ho. So after the 2011 contest, Ukraine usurped Russia at the top of the 5-year rolling. Second is Russia, third is Greece, fourth is Azerbaijan with their first victory, and fifth is Turkey. So it would be a 25 strong final. So Ukraine obviously would be a straight to the final. So Gaetana's Be My Guest would be straight to the final. It qualified anyway. Russia's Buranovsky Babushki with Party for Everybody would have been straight to the final. It qualified anyway. It won its semi-final. Greece's Eleftheria Eleftherio with Aphrodisiac would have gone straight to the final. It did qualify, which is good. Azerbaijan's entry, obviously, they were the hosts, so they're there anyway. And Turkey's Can Bonomo Love Me Back would have been an automatic qualifier, but it did get through the semi-finals anyway. So no major upsets. Kind of surprised with 2011. I mean, Boom Boom isn't that great a song, so I'm not surprised it didn't qualify. But if we were using my supposed big five rather than just the 5 people that pay their way, that would have gone straight to the final. So, after the 2012 contest, then Azerbaijan find themselves at the top with 855. Russia are in second, Greece are in third, Ukraine are in fourth, and with Lorene's win with Euphoria, Sweden find themselves back into the top 5 for the first time in a long time in 5th place. Sweden, of course, being the hosts. So Robin Stjernberg's You would have been in the final anyway. So we're just looking at Azerbaijan, Russia, Greece, and Ukraine. All 4 of which I believe have a pretty solid success rate with getting to the final until recently. So let's see. Azerbaijan, Farid Mamadov with Hold Me would have been an automatic qualifier. It won its semi-final anyway, so no worries there. Russia's Dina Garipova with What If would have gone straight to the final. It qualifies, so that's fine. Greece's Cosa Mostra featuring Agatha and Iokavidis with Alcohol is Free. That's a brilliant song. Would have been an automatic qualifier, which is sensational. And last but not least, Ukraine, Zlata Ognevich's Gravity would have been an automatic qualifier, which it would have deserved to be because it's absolutely sensational. It's a sensational song. After the 2013 contest, Azerbaijan are still at the top. So they actually hold that for 2 years, which is lovely. We see Denmark get a victory, which puts them up into third place. Russia still in second. Sweden up to fourth. Norway up to fifth. The gap between first and second, Azerbaijan have 955 points over 5 years. That's an average of almost 200 points a year, which, thinking that they won with 220 points, that's bloody impressive. Russia in second place with 691. Azerbaijan have a huge lead over everybody at this point. So Azerbaijan, Russia, Denmark, Sweden, and Norway. Now, Denmark, of course, won in 2013. As such, Basim's cliche love song would always be in the final. So we're looking at Azerbaijan, Russia, Sweden, and Norway. I'd like to point out we are now in 2013. This is 2013's top five, and the traditional big five are still nowhere to be seen. No Italy, no France, no UK, no Spain, no Germany. It kind of rams home to me just how daft the Big Five is and how it shouldn't exist anymore. Hey-ho. So, Azerbaijan's entry then for 2014 was Dilara Kazimova with Start a Fire, which would have automatically qualified, would have been straight to the final. It did qualify, so that's good. Russia's Tolmachevi sisters with Shine would have been in the final straight away. It did qualify. Sweden's, I think it's Sanja Nilsson, isn't it? Yeah, Sanja Nilsson with Undo would have been an automatic qualifier. It did qualify, of course. And Norway's Carl Espen with Silent Storm would have been straight to the final as well. No major upsets there. So, after the 2014 contest, Sweden find themselves at the top. They're only for 2 years at the top, and then Russia takes over, and then Sweden takes over for a couple of years again. So yeah, Sweden at the top, Azerbaijan, Russia, Ukraine, Denmark. And this was after an Austrian victory, so we would have had 26 countries in this particular final. Now, we actually ended up with 27 countries in the final for 2015 because that was the first year that Australia were invited to participate and they got a bye straight to the final because it was just meant to be a one off. They have since stuck around, which, fine. So, Sweden's entry that year was Måns Zelmerlöw with Heroes. That would have been an automatic qualifier. I went on to win the whole damn thing, so, I mean, fine. Azerbaijan's Eldar Huseynov with Hour of the Wolf would have been an automatic qualifier, and it just scraped through in its semi final. So, I mean, it did qualify at least, but, just. Russia's Polina Gagarina with A Million Voices would have been an automatic qualifier. That's a beautiful song. Ukraine didn't participate in this particular Eurovision, but that doesn't mean that sixth place would get in. As far as I'm concerned, if you need to be in that top five, I don't think that should then move down. So that means we would go straight to Denmark, who's anti-social media the way you are. I don't even know what that song sounds like. It didn't qualify, but hey, according to my rules, the Big Five, Denmark was part of the Big Five that year. It should have gone straight to the final. Well, after 2015, with Sweden's second victory, we have Sweden at the top with 1,195 points. This was before we split the juries in the televotes. So that's 1,195 points over 5 contests, which is an average of about 300 points. No, it's not. It's an average of about 250 points a contest. But that's because both their wins, they had over 350 plus points. And, Sweden in the 2010s, always in the final, usually in the top 3 or top 5. They were an absolute powerhouse. So to see them at the top with that much of a gap is understandable. Russia, 902 points in second. Italy, finally, we have an actual member of the Big Five in there. 741, Azerbaijan and Ukraine. So obviously Sweden were, our top. So their entry, which I think was France with Fabra Sorry, would be straight into the final anyway. Ukraine do make a comeback. They still find themselves in the top 5 despite taking a year out. Quite impressive. But Russia's entry, which is Sergei Lazarev with You're the Only One, would have gone straight to the final. It won its semi-final. I think it won the televote as well on the night. Yeah, it's one of my favorite ever Eurovision entries. That, if not my absolute favorite, it breaks my heart that it didn't win. In third place, so Italy's what was Italy's entry? That I think that was actually a pretty rubbish one. Yeah, Francesca Michelin with no degree of separation would have been an automatic qualifier. Obviously, it's an automatic qualifier anyway. Azerbaijan's Samra with Miracle would have been an automatic qualifier. And Ukraine's comeback with Jamala in 1944 would have been an automatic qualifier as well. Obviously, it went on to win. Only came second in its semi-final. It lost to Australia in its semi-final. There you go. So after the 2016 contest, we have Russia still at the top with 1,316 points. Sweden in second place, Ukraine in third, Australia find themselves up in fourth, and Italy in fifth. Now, for the next couple of years, so for up to 2019, there is still obviously an inclusion of a time before the televotes and jury points were split and you had a full shebang of both. But just because the voting system changes, the voting system changed for everybody. Everybody had the opportunity to get hundreds more points. So that doesn't actually affect the way I calculate it because, 2016, Ukraine got a ton of points, as did Russia, as did Australia. So, if you were in the bottom 10, you still ended up with about the same amount of points you would have done anyway. So, Russia at the top, Sweden second, Ukraine third, Australia fourth, Italy in fifth. So now, because this one was held in Ukraine, for a whole bunch of political reasons, Russia's entry selected was barred from entering Ukraine. So Russia didn't have an entry for 2017. Sweden's Robin Bengtsson, I Can't Go On, would have been an automatic qualifier. It, of course, qualified anyway. Ukraine's Otorval with Time would have obviously been automatic qualifier because A, it won the year prior, B, Ukraine are still in the Big Five. Australia's Isaiah with Don't Come Easy would have been an automatic qualifier as well. It did actually qualify. And Italy's Francesco Gabbani with Occidentali's Karma would have automatically qualified as well, like it actually did. Italy being really the only country of the big five to consistently take Eurovision seriously, and well, it does pay off. So, after the 2017 contest, we have Sweden in the top, second is Russia still, and third, Bulgaria shoots up after a phenomenal result for was a beautiful mess. Fourth, we have Italy. Fifth, we still have Ukraine. Obviously, Portugal won in 2017, so Portugal's entry would have automatically been in the final anyway. So Sweden's Benjamin Ingrosso with Dance You Off would have been an automatic qualifier. It qualified anyway. Russia's Julia Samilova with I Won't Break would have automatically qualified. There. Bulgaria's Equinox with Bones would have automatically qualified. They did qualify from their semi-final. Italy's Ermal Meta and Fabrizio Moro with Non mi avete fatto niente would have automatically qualified. Obviously, it's an automatic qualifier anyway. At least Ukraine's Milovan with Under the Ladder would have automatically qualified as well. It did qualify anyway. So after the 2018 final then, Sweden still at the top, Italy now up to second, Bulgaria third, fourth Australia, fifth Russia. 2018 was won by Israel. So their entry would have always got to the final, of course. So Sweden's John Lundvik with Too Late for Love would have been an automatic qualifier. It qualified anyway. Italy's Mahmoud with Soldi, which, almost won, would have been an automatic qualifier. Bulgaria pulled out of this year's contest, so they had nothing to qualify with. Australia's Kate Miller-Heidke with Zero Gravity would have been an automatic qualifier, as would have Russia's second attempt by Sergei Lazarev, Scream, being an automatic qualifier as well. All those, of course, did actually qualify. Now, after the 2019 contest, obviously 2020 didn't happen because of the pandemic. So after 2018, we had Sweden at the top, Italy in second, Australia in third, Russia in fourth, Bulgaria in fifth. and the Netherlands actually are not a far off sixth place. They obviously had a victory. So the 2021 contest, not the 2020 contest, of course. Our automatic qualifiers are Sweden, Italy, Australia, Russia, and Bulgaria. So Sweden's Tussa with Voices would have been an automatic qualifier. It did qualify. Italy's Måneskin with Zitia Buoni would have been an automatic qualifier. They won the whole thing, so, happy days. Australia's Montaigne with Technicolor would have been an automatic qualifier, which is a shame. Would have been nice to see Montaigne on the in the final. So yeah, that's the first one that kind of hurts a little bit. I do like Technicolor. I like Technicolor a lot. Russia's Manisha with Russian Women would have been an automatic qualifier. Absolutely astounding song. And Bulgaria's Victoria, Growing Up is Getting Old, would have been an automatic qualifier as well. Now, they've been threatening to do this for a while, but after their win in 2021, Italy took the lead. So Italy took the lead of the 5-year rolling. They are still there today, and the gap between first and second is huge. So after the 2021 contest, Italy, Sweden, Bulgaria, France, and Australia are our top 5. Italy has 1,754 points to Sweden's 1,320. There is now over 400 points between first and second. So it's just incredible. I mean, the gap now is still pretty huge. We will cover that in a second. So 2022 held in Turin. Obviously, Italy's entry would have been an automatic qualifier anyway, being a member of the Big Five, but also having won. Mahmoud and Bianco with the Brividi would have been an automatic qualifier. Sweden's Cornelia Jacobs with Hold Me Closer would have been an automatic qualifier as well. It won its semi-final, so no major surprises there. Bulgaria's Intelligent Music Project with Intention would have automatically qualified to the final. Thankfully, dodging another bullet there, but hey, it is what it is. So for the first time, we would have had France automatically qualifying to the final with Alvin and Ajes with Fulham, which was a very unique entry. But would have automatically qualified. So hey ho. And Australia's Sheldon Riley with Not the Same would have automatically qualified as well. So after the 2022 contest then, with another win for Ukraine, we have Italy, Sweden, Ukraine, Portugal, and Bulgaria. First time Portugal's been in the top 5. Amazing to see Bulgaria still there. They were tied with Moldova, both with 951 points. So, but I think because Bulgaria has a second place in that, and Moldova only has a third, Bulgaria would win on count back if we were looking to what gets straight through. So for the 2023 contest, both Ukraine and the United Kingdom would be straight into the final because Ukraine won the previous contest and because the United Kingdom is hosting. So those two would have been straight in the final for 2023 regardless. And then we're adding on Italy, Sweden, Portugal, and Bulgaria. France has since dropped out, which is a bit of a shame, but hey ho. So Italy's entry was Marco Mengoni with Due Vite, which was just sensational. Came fourth in the end. Would it be an automatic qualifier? Italy, absolutely storming this. Italy could end up winning 2024. I reckon it's going to be between Italy and Croatia this year, but hey ho. So Sweden's entry, which was Loreen with Tattoo, would have been an automatic qualifier. Not really any surprises there. Well, would have got through to the final anyway. Fortress Heart of Steel. Portugal's Mimi Cat with I Coração would have been an automatic qualifier. It did qualify anyway. And Bulgaria actually pulled out of this year's contest. So do you know what? Screw it. We'll give that place to Moldova. I'll make that exception just the once since they are tied, which means that Pasha Parfene Soaralisaruna would have automatically qualified as well, which nice, lovely. So that brings us up to the present day then. So the way things look after 2023 then. Now I'll run through the whole shebang. We'll go from bottom to top. In 40th place, with 31 points, is Belarus. Romania is 39th. Hungary is 38th. Are Hungary in this year's contest? I don't think they are. So Hungary will drop off the rolling five after this year. So Croatia 37th with 123. I expect them to absolutely leap up for 2025. 36th is San Marino and 35th is Ireland with 136 points. If Ireland don't qualify this year, and I'd be surprised if they don't, they will fall off the rolling five. Armenia in 34th, Poland in 33rd, Slovenia 32nd, North Macedonia 31st, Belgium 30th, Bulgaria 29th, what a fall they've had, Denmark 28th, Malta 27th, Germany 26th. They are about to lose, they've got 399 points, they will lose 340 points this year. So Germany will fall almost to the bottom unless their entry this year does really, really well. Albania 25th, Greece 24th, Portugal 23rd, Austria 22nd. They're about to lose 342 of their 462 points. So they're going to have a big drop as well unless they do really well. Now they've got We Will Rave this year, so I don't think they'll get 300 points, but they should do well. Azerbaijan in 21st, the United Kingdom up in 20th, which is the highest we've been in a long, long time. Russia down in 19th with 573. Czechia 18th. Iceland 17th. Estonia 16th. Serbia 15th, Lithuania 14th, Australia 13th, Moldova 12th, Spain 11th. So our top 10. In 10th place, 757 points, is Cyprus. It is going to lose the 436 points from Fuego. So hopefully Cyprus does well this year or they will tumble down the order. The Netherlands is in 9th place with 795. France is in 8th place with 898. Finland take a massive jump thanks to Karia's result last year with 911, and Switzerland are up in 962 points. So our top five, controversially, in 5th place with 1,031 points is Israel. Now they're going to lose 529 of those from Toy's victory. But that means that that would mean that October Rain would be an automatic qualifier this year. Hey, if it's an apolitical contest, it's fine. And 4th is Norway with 1,097. So Gauta's song would be an automatic qualifier this year. And 3rd is Ukraine with 1,368. So the Mother Teresa song would be an automatic qualifier this year. In 2nd, now quite close to Italy, with 1,736 points, is, of course, winners Sweden, and whatever they pick would have been straight into the final anyway. And first place, still at the top, is Italy. So, if they weren't a member of the Big Five, using my revision of the Big Five, Italy's Angelina Mango with Lanoia would be straight into the final. And that's that. That is how Eurovision would look if they revised the Big Five to reflect a 5-year rolling system. What do you think? What do you think about what I've done there? What do you think about the system itself? Do you think the Big Five should be scrapped? Let me know at the SJD Show podcast at gmail.com. I'm also at the SJD Show on TikTok and also the SJD Show on YouTube, where you can leave a comment. I will strive to reply to any and all comments that I get and emails that I get. Do you think the Big Five should be scrapped? Question one. Do you think my revision is fair? Do you think it works? How it would have affected past contests. Contests where countries that didn't qualify would have had an automatic bye to the final. Countries, certainly from my own opinion, I think there would be so many times the United Kingdom, for example, wouldn't have qualified. Spain wouldn't have qualified. France wouldn't have qualified. I think Italy, apart from 2016, would have probably qualified every single year, as has Sweden. And I think because of how well they do in Eurovision, they should be rewarded with automatic places in the final. But yeah, let me know what you think. It's an end to the main podcast. So we're now going to end with what's Sean been up to. Not a lot this week, I have to say. Obviously, watching the Formula One. I've also started watching From Russia with Love. Haven't quite finished it yet, but it's another cracking Bond film. I've also started a classic Eurovision rerun using the scoring system that I have. So I watched Eurovision 1956, and I've got to say I was very pleasantly surprised by how charming, how good a lot of it was. The lyrics, some of them are really happy and joyful, and some of them are bizarrely dark. Yeah, but I will do a podcast on every individual Eurovision over the coming weeks, months, and or years. And that's us. That is officially us. So thank you so much for listening to my podcast this week. Next week, I think next week I'm going to go over. I mentioned earlier in the podcast the qualifying championship for Formula One. How the championship would have looked if you took all the qualifying results and made a kind of a separate championship for that using the point system of the day. So I think I'll go over that. I might not. It might be something else. We'll see how we go. But yeah, and I will see you next time on the SJD Show.